you guys. Today we have a not exciting topic to talk about, but a very important one to talk about. Um, and I think, like, in general, we can relate to this with the tanks and the life right now, right, Shelby? Have you ever had one of those moments where just everything goes wrong at once?
All the time. All the time.
It's like one of those moments. You mean like that's not just life for everybody? So welcome everybody. I am Brandi and you
This
are.
is Shelby.
So some of the things that we're going to talk about today are topics that came up by accident. Um, I had an actual real tank emergency last week and ended up with ankle deep water all around my office. It was
Insane.
yeah, and so we'll go over the full story, what went wrong, some tips, and then talk about some other horror stories. I know I have like a wealth of them to talk about. I'm sure you do too, Shelby, at this point, right? Uh,
Yeah. Once you're in aquatics for a little bit, you definitely have some mishaps happen. Just hopefully you're prepared when it comes to the incidences.
yeah, I think that that's the biggest thing is preparation. One of the things that someone told me early on is it was specifically about reef keeping, but I think it's applicable to any kind of aquarium owner. Is that you're playing a chess game that you're eventually going to lose, and you have to decide beforehand when you lose the game, are you going to start a new one or are you going to be done? Uh, and so a long time ago, I decided I would start a new one. But like some of these emergencies, I'm like, if it had happened this way, I don't know that I would have restarted.
Yep. There's actually one incident that happened that I don't have tanks above 100 gallons for a reason now.
Oh no, we'll have to talk about that one at some point too. All right, so what exactly happened for me? Um, so I was out of town for ICAST, right? Yeah, ICAST. And my husband didn't mention to me that the tank was had some water around it. So there was some tank around the tank or water around the tank. Some of that water dripped into a power strip, and I think I have the photo. Let's see. Is this it? Yeah, so some water dripped into a power strip and it was sparking. So I thought that was the end of this emergency. So last week we had talked about doing this conversation and talking about this emergency. So fires are a real big issue when you have water around everywhere. Like it's really important to make sure you have drip loops and that none of the electrical is on the floor. Luckily, none of the electrical was on the floor when I ended up with two, God, probably 5 inches of water in this room.
Wow. That's crazy.
I know. But yeah, so you want to make sure that there's no way for water to get to anything. And for this tank, actually, I have all my power plugs and stuff, they're up higher than the actual tank. So unless water gets as high as the outlet, which is like this far off the ground, there's no way for water to reach it. But this power strip was underneath those two tanks. I thought that it was like far enough under that it wouldn't have gotten wet, but there was enough water that it was a problem. And what had happened was the overflow had gotten a little bit of clogged with algae, and so it was coming off the side of the tank a little bit. It wasn't major, but just enough that it was leaving a little bit of a puddle and caused some sparks. So he
Crazy.
he moved the stand in order to uh, clean up the water. Well, let me show y'all what I realized about a week later. Maybe not quite a week later. A few days later, what the stand was doing. Let's see, where's that photo? So, the tank has a pretty good lean going on here. Um, It's one of those leans where like, let me make this bigger. It's like, it was enough where I'm like, I should probably like start emptying these tanks so I can get it leveled out. What ended up happening is I started emptying out this tank back here first, and the tank is leaning forward this way. And I started emptying out the tank in the back first. And I think that tank was counterbalancing the weight. And it, as like the water level had gotten like maybe this much water left in it, the whole stand just like buckles, spins, and falls. And
oh my gosh.
I know.
I couldn't take it anymore. Said I'm done.
Yeah. Like and
Not
it was
working.
just like I saw it starting to go in slow motion and I tried to grab it, but I'm glad I didn't, because I ended up with like a giant gash in the floor. Like there's a giant like V in the floor, and it actually hit my metal stand back here.
Oh no.
I know. I was like, the water that was coming out of this big 25-gallon tank. I had just moved this tank in. This tank is like a $3,000 tank. And I had just moved it in earlier that day so I could take stuff out of those tanks and put it into this tank. And I had just done that. Well, where that tank cracked, the water was coming out and hitting this brand new tank. And so I thought it had hit that tank and that was cracked. And I was just like, oh my God. And I'm having to tell myself, like, in the mid-emergency, like, don't panic, do stuff. Get towels. I went and, like, I'm, like, grabbing my Ciche Zero and, like, trying to do all kinds of stuff, trying to get water, like, saved in case this tank is broken. Luckily, it didn't hit that tank at all. Let me show some pictures of the tank broken. So you can see in this picture, like, water's on the floor. I don't know if you can tell exactly how much water is on the floor, but there's the Ciche Zero me trying to pump it up, because it was ankle depth water from this tank right here. This one was empty just about by this point. The eShops one in the back was empty just about by this point, and this JBJ one here in the front was broken. And you can see that it's like up against the stand, and I for sure thought that it had hit that brand new tank, and somehow it missed it. Thank God.
Wow. Yeah, it looks so close. Like it definitely hit it or nicked it. I would have been so scared. Even a nick can be an issue, because in the long run that can fail. So it's just scary to have something like that happen, and you got to inspect all the tanks around it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Terrifying. Yeah. Water on the floor is the worst, but like it was a whole stand fell and everything broke.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of those, Shelby, you know, I hate saying it could have been worse, but this could have been so much worse. Like it could have hit that brand new expensive stand. I could have not noticed it was leaning. So all the stuff that was in there that I was taking out could have been on the floor dying. Like all my coral and all the fish and the shrimp and everything. It could have happened while we were out of town. We were here and I was actively working on it in the room when it started to go. So like I was instantaneously working on it. Also, so this was something that I've been asking my husband for. This flooring in this room is waterproof. So it's 4 bathrooms.
Thankfully. Good.
And I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose because I was like, I know what these tanks have done to other areas of the house when I've had it on just hardwood floors. So I wanted safe flooring. So there's that. But we've also talked back and forth about putting a drain in this room. And my reason was if something falls, like in this case, that there's a place for the water to go. And my husband's been like, that's such an unlikely thing to happen. He bought me the drain, but he hasn't installed it yet. So, you know, and I've been trying to like argue with him. Oh, well, when I do water changes, I can just do the water directly to that drain and I don't have to have the piping. Like, It'd be so easy. Like, there's not going to be tubes running around the house. Everything's here in this room. And after this, he's like, we're going to put the drain in. So silver lining, right? Waterproof flooring and a drain in the room. So I know that's not like something that everybody, it's not feasible for everybody, but I am so glad this flooring is waterproof because a little bit of water came out of this room that way, and it's just hardwood floors, and I can see that like it buckled a little bit. So if it had been
the one thing about multiple tanks is you're gonna flood, you're gonna drop water, whether it's a tank crashing or something, or an intake getting clogged and it starts to overflow, you're gonna overflow your tank at one point if you have more than one. So prevention is better than taking care of it afterwards.
Yeah, it's I'm still in shock.
Yeah.
And like,
there's a lot.
Yeah. The first thing I started doing was unplugging things because I'm like, like, I don't want to fire. Everything was up above the water, but I still started unplugging things just in case.
That's how quickly a fire can start, though, with, just something not holding right. There's a lot of stands that aren't built to certain weights. And, even if they are, there could have been slow damage to it that you just might not see, that it wasn't necessarily, it could have been rated for, I see people do the shelves all the time. It's rated for weight. We have the big metal racks. They're in our garage now, but they were our like steady breeding racks. Those after time, if you don't protect it or spray them down, they start to rust. And yes, it's rated for that weight, but after time, it will start to buckle and the, joints start to weaken because they're rusting. So it's like small things like that you don't typically see that could have happen in a blink of an eye.
I know. And like these stands. So this is one thing I'm going to have to like get on to Manny about. So Manny sent me this tank and he forgot to send me the stand that goes with this tank like a year ago. And
I think I have the stand, by the way.
He sent you the stand? Is that what happened?
I accidentally got one sent to me for Global. And we've had it. So I just have it in a box. Brand new QB stand if it's the QB.
It's probably that then. It's a 25-gallon tank, and I've been waiting for a stand for it for ages. And so I'm like, I got tired of waiting on it. So I bought this metal racking system. Now, there's some things I probably could have done differently about it. So this metal racking system can be done one tall thing or two separate ones. And I put these tanks on one of the two separate ones. When you do the two separate ones, you end up with a stand that has 3 shelves and one that has 2. I think if I had had 3 shelves on this one, it would have, like, because if you look at I don't think I took pictures of it, but if you look at the way the stand like spun around, like you can see that the metal actually like spun. I think if I'd had the 3rd shelf on there, it wouldn't have spun like it did. And it's rated for like 650 pounds. So it's not the poundage that's the problem. I just think it got out of balance when Matt moved it. The wheels were in 2 different orientations. And then whenever I started emptying the other tank that was counterbalancing it, it's rated for 650 pounds. It's not rated for 650 pounds all on one side, obviously. Yeah. Because it was holding fine up until then. And it's been on there for like 6-7 months. And we definitely caused it to fall. It would not have fallen if the stand hadn't been moved. And if it wasn't so counterbalanced, I think it would have stayed there for ages. Maybe not, but
at least longer.
Yeah. Not fun at all.
Yeah. Were they all completely damaged? I was on. Oop.
I closed that one. No, they were not all completely damaged, luckily. Just that one got damaged. The eShops one is fine. The brand new tank is fine. The sump that was sitting there next to it is fine. This ATO container here in this picture, it was fine. all the equipment that was sitting on it, I had either already moved it, like I had an ozone dryer that probably wouldn't have been good if it had gotten wet. It was already moved. The only things that got wet were things that were meant to go in water after that. But here's the backside looking at it. Like you can see that brand new tank. Like somehow it missed it. I just can't process
the brand new tank looks so crystal clear that you can barely tell it's even there.
I know, it's so pretty, isn't it? I can't wait to finish filling it up. It's I'm waiting on, we're putting a sump out here. I'm waiting on plumbing that up, and it'll be filled up, and I'll have all the equipment and wires out of this one. But Joe did such a good job with it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Have you ever had issues with a stand or rack, Shelby?
So the racks, we've had different issues between electrical, old lights going out, and luckily I smelled it. I was like the only one who smelled it going out. That could have caused a fire for sure. I've had 180-gallon planted tank that was a shrimp tank, so we had like one of the largest shrimp tanks like ever. It was so cool. It might be a 190. Grant might correct me on that one. But it was huge in the middle of our living room. And in the middle of the night, our daughter was just a toddler at the time. And we thought she was trying to get in the room because she couldn't necessarily like open the door yet. So it was just like hitting it. And so like Grant gets out of the bed, like in a tussle, thinking like, what's wrong with her? Why is she out of bed? Steps in a puddle of water right at the door. And he's like, what is that? And he opens the door and you just hear it just rushing out of the tank. The seam had been busted. We had gotten a used tank. We had fixed the seams. But that seam was like beautiful. There was nothing wrong with it. It didn't look bad. So we were like, let's go. It's fine. But no, 180 to 90 gallons of water on our floor, which I wish we had the CJ pumps back then and not having the shop vac. The CJ pump probably would have been so nice, especially to get it right out of the tank so it'd stop pouring on the floor and then help us clean up, because we could have just pumped that right into our pool, and it was just, we will never have that big of a tank in our house for a while. And if I do, I would have preventive measures like, say a waterproof floor or, a drain just in case something like that was to happen. Then you're not damaging everything around and it's just going right out, So that is a incredibly great idea if I was to ever redo a big tank. Those scare me so much.
Yeah, it's they're very scary. It actually, like this aluminum frame I got from Alufab, and it was an absolute fortune. But it let's see, let me see if I can find the picture of the Red Sea stand that it came with. I've had that stand for probably 5 years, and the amount of water that had gotten on that stand, I just was so uncomfortable with that stand and the kids. Like, I was so worried that the kids were going to run into the stand and knock it over and kill themselves, right? But that
hey, it's better to think that way than not, be prepared and something does happen.
Yeah, so Matt thought I was crazy that I wanted this like crazy like intense stand, and he's now very happy about it. He's like, you can see where that tank hit this stand, and there's even like a little piece of glass embedded. I think we can just take like some black Sharpie and cover it up. Like I think it's totally fine. It's just cosmetic, but there is a little bit of glass in there. But no way that even a wood stand would have held up. Like, what would have happened is a domino effect, right? Like, I just cringe to think about it.
Yeah.
Like, that stand would have gone into this tank, and this tank would have just gone, and it would have been, that would have been a hobby ending experience for me, I think. Like, like, just can't, like, can you imagine, like, 25 gallons of water on this floor was ankle deep. That's like, between this and this, that would have been 200 gallons of water.
Yeah. That would have been crazy. Yeah, I heard he had to deal with that.
Like, I would have had to call insurance because of the water damage. Like,
yeah,
it would have been bad. So, yeah.
Takes hours to clean up.
6 hours when you did yours?
No, I don't know, just like a couple hours.
Uh,
But it takes hours, and when it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, those couple hours feel like 6 hours. So you just never know when it's gonna happen. We had a 55-gallon. We have all like Aquarium tanks,
uh-huh.
and we've had that 55-gallon for longer than 10 years, and it busted a seam. It was probably my fault from using those metal algae scrapers. I nick sometimes the silicone on the side, which is very dangerous, and that will cause your seams to start to
I wish
fail.
all tanks
And
had those seam protectors, like those metal seam protectors.
yes, that would be nice.
My Red Sea has them, and I wouldn't do a tank without them.
I was just lucky that all it did was like was like halfway, so it drained half the tank, but the dog bed soaked it all up, so we were lucky.
That's very lucky.
Had to get new dog beds, but it was very lucky.
Worth it. Yeah, I think like that's one thing. We had towels and my husband kept being like, "Is that enough?" I was like, "No, more towels, more towels." Like, if you have a tank in your house, like you definitely need a lot of towels.
Mhm.
Mounting power strips up and away, I think is a very again, like I'm very lucky that I already had all mine up off the floor because water is a concern of mine. But make sure that you have any electrical up above the water line, like attach it to the wall somehow so that way if water does get on the floor, it can't get into your electrical and cause a fire, because that's you just took a bad situation and poured gasoline on it, essentially pouring water, but it's gasoline. The drip loops are super important. GFCI outlets, if you have those. Check your stand level regularly. So this one, you can kind of see right here that there's actually a level in this stand that's like it's built with that level. And
That's
it's,
cool.
yeah, so I look at it regularly just to make sure that bubble's still right in the center. I
Yeah.
think that that's a really nice feature that AluFab includes. Knowing that that they're creating these for fish tanks, like these being level are super, super important. Um, Make sure that the stands are rated for your tanks. And even if they're rated for the tanks, make sure that you have the weight evenly distributed. Because in my experience recently last week, it wasn't the weight that was the problem. It was the fact that it was not evenly distributed. Emergency kits, towels, buckets. We had tons of buckets, tons of towels. I ended up not needing to do any air pumps because I didn't need to unplug anything because, well, I did unplug some things, but most of the stuff didn't need to be unplugged because it was up level. Like I have this stand right here. Don't know if y'all can see this. It's not sliding. No, I don't think you can stand it. It's a little bench that holds a lot of the electrical stuff, so none of that stuff got unplugged. So all the life support on the tank was still on. Wet, dry back, like you said, right, Shelby? And you can get like a bucket head, is what Home Depot's brand is, and it's just like this like $20
Yeah.
thing. Don't
It's
quote me on
cheap.
it. It's pretty cheap though. That just goes on a regular 5-gallon bucket and turns it into a vacuum, and you can vacuum up water. Make sure you label cords, bundle wires. Wire management is the bane of my existence. I've been working on it like a crazy person recently. I'm hoping I can do a little video on that coming out soon once I get it all done. Using J channel is really nice for wire management that I've figured out recently. Do you use any J channels, Shelby? Do you know what
Nope,
it
I
is?
just is that where you like color code them or no?
No, it's like this J shape that goes on the wall, and you can
Hmm.
paint it the color of your wall, and the wires can go in there and keep them
Oh,
hidden. And like it's big, so like it's like I'm trying to do it with my hand, like this big maybe, so that way like a
hmm.
whole slew of wires could go in there, and then it makes it easy to pull them out. You don't have to like cut zip ties or whatnot in order to redo wiring, because if you're anything like me, you're going to get it all perfectly zip tied and realize a week later that you need to take something out or move something or clean something, and you're going to unzip tie it all. You're going to cut all the zip ties and never put them back. So that's fun. Leak alarms. Do you use any leak alarms, Shelby?
No, I have several of them. We've actually been gifted many of them, and I still don't use them. And we're probably the people that need to use them the most.
Yeah, you have a lot that could leak, don't you?
Yeah, we have a lot. It's not leaking. It's like overfilling, just not paying attention. We got a lot going on, so we might just be doing one rack and then, taking care of this or the baby, or, the kids might interrupt us. And then we go, oh yeah, we were filling a 55-gallon tank and with a 60-gallon trash can. So
float valves can be your friend there. That's actually something that I did on my RODI units. I expect them to be right here within my reach, and they're not. They're out in the garage. Of course they are. But whenever I first started, my RODI unit was just like something I could hook to my my faucet. And hey, Millie. It was just something I could hook to my faucet, and I kept overflowing the container I was doing it in. I set it in my bathtub, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but I'm like, it probably overflowed for hours. And I got float valves and attached to it, so that way once it got full, it cut off the water, so that way I wasn't wasting all that water. But float valves, I'm a big proponent of float valves, and as far as I know, I have yet to find someone share an experience. And if you've had an experience like this, please tell us, because I'd like to know. But I have yet to hear of an experience from an aquarist where a float valve failed on them. So a $2 piece of equipment, and you can prevent water from being everywhere. It's a no-brainer to me. Yeah, Eric, you should use float valves. I am such a big fan of them. And it was actually something Chris Meckley from ACI Aquaculture, I was talking to him about using float valves, because he's overflowing. Of course, he's in a warehouse, so it's not that big of a deal. But the amount of water you're wasting can start to add up. And he was like, oh, they don't make them this big. And I was showing him how they make them big enough to do fire hose size. So they make float valves of every size. I think that's how a toilet works, right? Is a float valve.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, it is a float valve. That's funny. I used them in the boating world when I worked at, West Marine, and I think about it all the time. And I was like, yeah, this is a great idea. Just for them, some of them I just didn't know how to wire up. And I think that's honestly our issues. Our standing tank is very large. It almost goes to a ceiling in our garage. So it's very large. That's my only issue with the float valves. We just haven't figured it out.
Or a plastic one?
It's a giant plastic one. It's meant for holding water.
So I have a video on my own personal YouTube channel where I put float valves in my 5-gallon buckets, but I'll make one for this YouTube channel when I have a 160-gallon one up, outside that I'm going to be doing. And,
nice.
I just drilled straight through it and screwed it through. It's so easy.
All right. That's probably what we'll have to do.
We
definitely need one for our bigger tub.
Yeah. And then if it's
We've had it. It goes up, over, and down the garage, down the driveway. So we come home to, where's that water coming from?
I've had neighbors come knock on my door before because they're like, I think you have a leak. I'm like, oh no, I just need to turn off the RODI.
Ours
it's
just
now in my garage,
water,
and
honestly.
I have my the outlet going outside, and it's not that I need to turn off the RODI. I need to change the filters because they get dirty and start pushing out way too much water. But yeah, it looks bad for my neighbors. They get worried. Any other aquarium emergencies you faced over the years, Shelby?
Not many. There's probably a ton that I'm just not remembering right now. Besides, I really haven't had a heater. I know a lot of people have had heaters go out. Mars usually just burn up, and haven't caused an issue in the tank, luckily. And that's, I'm knocking on wood because I do have like 8 tanks with heaters. We normally don't keep heaters because of like the horror stories. But we have had some really good heaters and we've been lucky with that. The only other thing is like sumps. I really don't like them. Absolutely dread them. We've had them in multiple tanks. We had a really nice one. I actually think we just got rid of this not that long ago, because I just can't take it. We had snails was our issue. We literally had so many snails in the tank that they were blocking the overflow into the sump. And so then
Oh.
the tank started to flood and then there was nothing going in the sump. So then the pump was burning up and I just can't stand like it, just too much. It's too complicated, or it got too dirty, or the pump wasn't working properly. It's like having to take care of 2 tanks in 1 tank. I don't like it.
I like sumps, hence the
Yeah.
brand new
For
tank.
saltwater is good.
Yeah.
Freshwater is like not needed,
So
but
my
saltwater, I'll
experience
have to
with-
get used to it.
My experience with a heater, I actually electrocuted myself. One
That's
of my
scary.
friends, the vice president of my club, actually was over helping me do some stuff, and the water station was out in the garage, so it needed a heater. And I had a heater going in it. And I went to I think I was mixing salt water or something, and I got popped so hard that the entire circuit tripped.
Oh my gosh.
And thank God for that, right? Because I would have I was in pain, but if the circuit
Yeah.
hadn't tripped, that would have been really bad. But the
Scary.
it was a glass heater and it had broken, and so lightning right now, or thunder. I don't know if y'all heard that.
Nah.
So I got electrocuted pretty badly from a heater. Eric said you
That's
have to have a
scary.
good grasp on physics for a sump, and that's why I don't have a sump. Well, I taught physics for many, many years. I taught high school physics, and then I taught physics teachers how to teach physics. So maybe that's why they don't bother me. I like my physics. What's some other options that I have here? Protein skimmer overflows. Have you ever worked with a protein skimmer?
Only on the saltwater tank at Global. That was it, and it was driving me crazy.
Yeah, I had to come over and fix it a little bit for you.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I've never had an issue with a protein skimmer overflowing because I've always done it this type of way, where if it overflows back into the tank, so it doesn't actually make a mess. Salt creep can cause slow electrical damage or damage to stands.
I've had that happen. I actually did damage multiple things with salt because no lid on it. I wasn't thinking any water splashing or anything. It's not like freshwater. Freshwater can splash and doesn't do as much damage, but that salt will definitely damage.
Yeah, for this tank, actually, I got Euro bracing around it intentionally to try and reduce some of the salt creep. So hopefully I don't have that same issue with this tank as I've had in the past.
Yeah.
Fish jumping. Have you had issues with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, you always got to have a nice lid on there and try to still cover it when you're working in the tank. I do killifish breeding, and killies are known. That is what they do in nature. They jump from pond to pond and try to go find other different bodies of water, So when they actually jump from little puddles in nature, it's just crazy. It's their nature, and even just the smallest little gap, they're gone. I already had that happen with a brand new pair of Achilles fish I just got not that long ago. It's awful.
That's so
I
sad.
didn't think it was. I mean, the gap is smaller than the fish, so you would think it wouldn't, but they make it.
Yeah, I actually have a lid on this tank up here, and I have a gap this big in the corners from the lid. And so wires and stuff can come through. And the number of fish that I've had jump through there, just it boggles my mind. I'm I don't understand how.
And crabs and shrimp can also crawl up the wires and out the tank.
Now, oh my God, at the snails. Someone on Instagram the other day was talking about how you're a reefer. And they're there's snails in the yard. I'm how or snail shells. I'm like, how did the snails get out there? Like, I found live snails on my front porch, and it's not like I was doing a water change or whatever. I'm like, how do they travel like they do? Like, they do
go
not
far.
have a good semblance for life preservation, I don't think. Like, their instincts are not great.
Just like turtles. Turtles will sometimes be so far away a body because they travel from pond to ponds, and sometimes that pond is gone now, and that turtle thought it was still there, and they're miles away from it. It's just crazy. It's the same. Crayfish will do it. Shrimp do it. People are always like, there's dead shrimp behind my tank. What happened? I'm like, it crawled out of your tank. It didn't like your water parameters, and it said goodbye. Like, it will do it.
Even if the water parameters are perfect. Like, I always joke. I'm like, I do not
snails.
know. Like, some of these snails also, they'll get themselves upside down in the tank and die.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I do not know how they live. Like,
survive, yeah.
Like, how are these
what is it, the
animals
dodo
not
bird that did that? Like, there's a lot of animals that actually, like, made themselves extinct, not human interaction.
Well, with my heater electrocuting me, I almost made myself extinct too, so I can't give them too much grief. But all right, so I'm gonna let us wrap this up since we're going for 30 minutes. Let us know in the comments what's your worst aquarium emergency that you've ever had. I want to know, but I kind of don't want to know. It's going to be fodder for nightmares. But we do want to hear the stories. And just a wrap-up question. One thing that I'm going to change after this experience is I'm going to put a drain in this room. If I ever sell this house, they're going to be like, why is there a drain in the dining room?
Yeah. Be like, you're going to have to put a fish tank there, One of the spouses will have an excuse now.
I'll just say it's for those really messy meals with toddlers where they just get food everywhere. You can just hose it down.
Not a bad idea.
Anything that you're going to change to emergency proof your house anymore?
I've been through quite a bit. I think the float valve is our next move for sure.
Float valves for the win. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us, and we will see y'all next week.